Welcome to Kidney Transplant Conversations, our regular podcast exploring diverse experiences and quality care delivery of kidney transplant. I'm Rolf Taylor, your host and series producer. Many thanks to all the participants and advisors and our underwriter Veloxis, who all help make this podcast possible. All views and opinions expressed in this podcast reflect those of the participants. So today, we feature a personal story from a transplant recipient, Benji Lafitte, who grew up in downtown Los Angeles and planned from a young age to study criminal justice and play basketball. He soon earned a strong reputation as a talented shooting guard and was approached by numerous colleges before attending schools in California and Iowa. At that time, Benji started experiencing some telltale signs of a kidney condition, and so began his 19-year journey of dialysis. Along the way, Benji would experience the disappointment of a transplant falling through, and he thought perhaps he was destined to stay on dialysis. But then Benji was mentored by another kidney transplant recipient, an old rival from his basketball days, who he says changed his life by persuading him to join the transplant program at UCLA, where he was treated by Dr. Jeffrey Veal. In this episode, Benji shares his kidney transplant story with us, discusses the importance of not giving up on yourself, and he talks about the loss of his good friend and mentor, Chris. So Benji, I've been really looking forward to hearing your story, and you are a pretty recent kidney transplant recipient, aren't you?
Yeah. I got a kidney transplant in June, on June 29th. And my sister's birthday is actually on the 30th, so she was pretty excited about that.
You're a patient with Dr. Veal, who is also on the podcast.
Talking about Dr. Veal is an amazing surgeon. You know, I can't say enough about Dr. Veal. Dr. Veal is a special human being.
So tell me why. What is it that makes you see Dr. Veal as being so particularly special?
Because every doctor I've had, and I've had a lot of doctors, every doctor hasn't made me feel as comfortable as he did. You know, like they'll talk to you about the diagnosis or you're going to have surgery, or the whole time. Every time I had a conversation with him, it was like I knew him for years. He had that vibe to him. It ain't too many like Dr. Veal. That's all I can really say about him. He's a special guy.
It's funny when I interviewed him for the podcast, he's so good at connecting with you, and then he tunes into what's important.
Yeah. Dr. Veal, that's my man right there, man.
Fantastic.
He's good people. He's good people.
Well, look, I want to ask you to share your kind of whole story with our audience, because you were a long time waiting for a transplant, or you were a long time on dialysis. And I really think it would be helpful and insightful if you can share a little bit about, what happened on that journey, which was, I guess it started, I think you told me over 20 years ago. Could you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you grew up?
Well, my name is Benjamin. My full name is Benjamin Lafitte, but I go by Benji. My family knows me best by BJ. But I grew up in Los Angeles, California. I went to Washington High School. It was a pretty rough neighborhood, growing up. There was gang activity. There was a lot of different things going on. Either you were, in school trying to get to college, or you were, going with the wrong crew, or you were going or playing sports. And I was trying to get to college and playing sports.
So whereabouts in Los Angeles is that?
Actually, I grew up off of 104th and Normandy. It's like right down the street from Washington High School. Washington High School is on 108th and Dinker. That's like another street over. And I used to walk to school every day, through bad neighborhoods. Let's just say that, a lot of gang violence. So you had to watch yourself. But, it was fun.
So you had to keep your head down a little bit.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You definitely did.
And you were aiming to get to college. What were you looking to study?
Criminal justice. That's always been a passion of mine.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I wanted to do something in the criminal justice field.
What happened with college?
Well, growing up in LA, I was one of the highly ranked shooting guards in my class. I was recruited by a lot of colleges at that time, and I believe I was leaning close, more close to North Carolina State, but my SAT, I didn't get high enough score. So I went to a JC up north in Sacramento I think I was only there for like maybe a semester. And then the season was over. After the season was over, I left because I didn't really see, it was my team, but I got there late. I got to that school late. I think I was probably a week or 2 weeks late for orientation. And they already had their team set when I got there. So I had to crack the starting lineup. I was kind of like, when I got there, I was like probably the 15th man, But I know what I could do on the floor. So I ended up actually cracking the starting lineup and becoming the man on that team. So I was a go-to man. And I had came there, like I said, almost a week and a half late. But it was a good experience for me. I ended up in Iowa.
In Iowa, okay.
That was my last college destination, because after Sierra College in Rockland, California, I went to College of the Desert. And I ended up breaking my ankle, so I took a medical red shirt. So I think that was 2001. I played, and that's when my kidneys started failing me at the College of the Desert. I would wake up with my face swollen. My face would be swollen. I didn't know what was going on with me at the time. And then I would also urinate, in the toilet, and it would be bubbles. And I didn't understand why there was bubbles, in the toilet. It was like I poured, some dishwashing liquid in the toilet, as many bubbles as was in the toilet, but it was me. I was peeing out protein. That was happening. I was peeing out the protein.
I think they call it frothy urine, right?
Yeah.
How bad was that? Was that really noticeable to you? It's like, what were you thinking?
It was like, honestly, at that time, from me breaking my ankle and redshirting, I think my playing weight was like, because I'm like 6'3", 6'4". My playing weight in high school was like 205.
Mm-hmm.
And I gained probably about 20 pounds. So I was like 225, 230.
Wow.
And at that time, I started to go on a diet because I wanted to lose weight and get back to my playing weight.
Yeah.
So at that time, my face started to swell and my legs started to swell. And I had no clue what was going on. I thought it was the diet that I was on.
Yeah.
So I changed my diet and it continued, and I went to go see a doctor. And the first doctor, all he did was give me water pills. He's like, "Oh, you're retaining water," but he didn't know exactly why. So he gave me some water pills that helped me urinate a little more. But come to find out, my kidneys were failing me, but I had no clue at that time.
How long did it take before you actually went to see a kidney specialist?
You know what? I was living that basketball dream. So I was kind of being naive to what was going on with me. When I was at College of the Desert, the first 5 games I didn't play. They didn't let me play because I didn't want to find out what was going on with me physically. So, imagine, sitting out a whole year with a broke ankle, and then you come back and then you got another setback with the swelling and the weight gain and everything. So I had no clue what was going on with me. So I had to sit out the first 5 games, but my next game, the first game back, I played really well. I had like 18 and like 5 boards. I hit a couple 3-pointers, so I played real well. And I wasn't in shape at all, but it was just the instinct from playing.
It's such a tough road, isn't it? Being an athlete and then having something like that happen to you. I just can't imagine how hard and how disappointing that must have been.
It was because I went from being, like I said, ranked in the state of California, competing with everybody in my class, and just I was dunking on a lot of people that you see in the NBA now. You know what I'm saying? Well, they just retired. The biggest one that I say that I actually dunked on was Matt Barnes. We were playing his team in Fresno. And I caught him on the break and put him on a poster. But everything happens for a reason. I definitely believe that.
Yeah, and there's a fork in the road, and who knows what would have happened if you'd gone down near the fork. So just nobody knows, right? Could have been better, could have been worse.
Yeah. True. That is correct, sir.
You got diagnosed as having chronic kidney disease. Mm-hmm. And what were your kind of options then, health-wise or treatment-wise?
Health-wise or treatment-wise, well, they automatically told me, because like I said, when I was in Iowa, I just totally ignored that there was something wrong with me. And I went to the University of Iowa. And when I got there, my body completely shut down. The reason that I knew something was seriously wrong with me is that we ran the mile, and I came in dead last. Like our 7-footers came in before me.
Yeah.
I came in, I think, like I'm gonna say about almost 7 minutes. Everybody else was there waiting on me, and they were clapping it up for me. And as soon as I got to the middle of the floor, my whole body just cramped up, like seized up, like I was like in a big ball on the floor. So they called the ambulance to come get me, and they ran tests on me at the hospital, and they told me that my kidneys were at 11% at this time.
Wow, 11%.
11%, yeah.
And you were how old at that point?
I was 21, about to be 22.
Wow.
Because I remember vividly, because right before that happened to me, my grandfather passed. So I had to fly back home to go to his funeral and then fly back to Iowa, to be there for school and basketball.
Had you had any other family members, any, ancestors that had similar problems, or was this just out of the blue?
I mean, I don't believe it was out of the blue, because actually I was on dialysis before my auntie. Rest in peace to my auntie Shirley. Love you. Yeah, I was on dialysis before her. So I think I probably had her beat by, I want to say probably 5 years. So she was probably on like about a good 15 years. So my first 5 years, and she came in right after my first 5 years. So I had her by 5 years.
And she had the same condition?
Yeah, she was on dialysis for 15 years, and we just buried her like last year or so.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she was a special woman. She was a very special woman. My favorite auntie. Rest in peace, Auntie Shirley. I love you.
We just lose so many people to chronic kidney disease.
Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
That's why, like every day, I wake up. If I'm not saying it in my head, I'm saying it out loud. Thank you for opening my eyes up. Because I could have been gone a long time ago.
You must have been doing something right.
Yeah.
Because you were on dialysis, what, 20 years, 19 years, 20 years?
20. I'm gonna say like 19.5. It's about to be 20. So I just rounded off with the 0.5. So I say 20 years. But it was like a good 19.5 years. Mm-hmm.
When you started with dialysis, your kidneys were at, I think you said like 10 or 11%.
Yeah.
How did you do that for 20 years? How did you, did you keep up an exercise regimen? Did you eat great food? I mean, how did you do that for 20 years? You look great now.
Yeah. No, I mean, God, I give it to God, I mean, I was, taking on my meds and, eating what I was supposed to eat. I was on a low phosphorus diet. So anything with a high phosphorus, I couldn't eat. Potatoes, cheese, tomatoes, peanuts, stuff like that. Bananas, stuff that I really love, So
all the good stuff.
Yeah, I had to eat it. I had to eat it in moderation, So it was what it was. But I like to think I mastered, my diet. My levels and my labs would be off sometimes, and then I would just adjust what I was eating, by ear.
And during all of that time, did you stay connected with athletics?
I actually did. I would still go to the gym and play. Like, just growing up in LA, like if you were in a hoop circle and you were like, I'm not gonna say upper echelon, but like the top of that hoop class, then everybody knew each other pretty much.
Yeah.
We kind of ran in circles. We knew of each other, or we played in camps together, or we played, against each other like our whole lives pretty much. I had so many friends just playing basketball that I played with AAU, and I was like young, 12, 11. Like a lot of them stayed playing ball, and I played against them in high school and stuff. And I'm still in contact with a lot of those guys now, believe it or not.
So it's like a lifelong network.
Yeah, it's kind of like a brotherhood almost, like,
Yeah.
We all keep in contact, we all keep in contact, and that's a good thing.
But I'm curious as to why you didn't explore the option of, getting a kidney transplant sooner, or maybe you did.
Actually, I did with two different places, and it took them like 9 months to even start the blood work. So I was kind of like, frustrated with the situation. And the same thing with when I was supposed to get the transplant, I got flaked on twice by the donor. So it kind of threw me into a spiral, and I was kind of like down for a few years, and I didn't want to do it no more. I didn't want to try to get a kidney. I was kind of, deterred by getting the kidney.
How long ago was that?
I'm gonna say probably 8 to 9 years ago.
And were you looking for a living donor or?
I had a friend. I had two friends. Actually, I went to college, and they said they would give me a kidney, but it was other reasons why they couldn't give me a kidney. But I had no clue. But I
Right.
spoke to one of their family members, and they said that they weren't in the right mind state to even give me a kidney, and I totally understood. But that's what happened. But
Huge
we didn't.
commitment, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. It is.
And I'm getting to know more and more about this whole process, and it seems like in the last few years there've been quite a lot of new laws and policy and opportunities that make it easier for people to give a living donation kidney than maybe 5 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Hopefully some of those barriers that were affecting, your possible donor back then have been removed now, and maybe hopefully it's easier financially or whatever.
Yeah, no, first off, people are scared to give a piece of their body. They figure, oh, can I live with one kidney? They're not informed that you can live with one kidney, and then they're scared, like, will I die from the operation? It's a simple procedure, but if you've never had surgery, I totally understand why you're thinking like, oh, I might die, or can I live with one kidney? I totally understand that. But, when you care about somebody, stuff like that don't matter.
And then after that time where it didn't work out, you kind of stepped back from that kind of engaging in that process. It sounds like it was such a roller coaster, and it must be hard to ask. It must feel hard to ask people.
Yeah, it is. It is. It definitely is. What's crazy is that none of my siblings was a match. None of them. That was the crazy part for me. So it was kind of like, wow. I figured either my brother or one of my sisters or somebody would be a match, but I got a totally different blood type than all of them.
Yeah. And of course, what Dr. Veal is doing now is he's found a way around that with these swaps, with these.
Yeah. I like that. The UCLA. Hey, I praise UCLA. It took me 3 months to get a kidney transplant. 3 months, right? And when I got the call, I couldn't believe it.
Fantastic.
I was sitting down watching the NBA playoffs last year. Actually, I was watching the Suns game. I forget who they were playing. When I got that call, I remember that call like it was yesterday. I couldn't believe it. It was kind of surreal. And they asked me, could I be there by, I think they said 7. And it was like already like 4 or 5. And I zoomed down there. I made it in time. So
you had 2 hours to get down to the hospital.
Yeah. And if you know LA traffic, like I know LA traffic, it was a mission getting there.
I imagine, yeah, you try and do half of the stuff in the car on the way.
Right.
Oh, wow. So tell us a little bit about that, because you mentioned that you'd had some advice from a friend who really encouraged you to join the UCLA program.
Yeah. Yeah, I got some advice from my friend Chris Osbourne. Rest in peace. You know what I'm saying? That's my brother. That dude, man. That dude, I believe he was an angel.
What did he say to you?
I think I spoke to him. He was still on dialysis at that time, and I was still on dialysis at that time. And I'm probably say it was like at least 5 years ago. And I saw him on Facebook. That's how we linked up. I saw him on Facebook. He was actually on dialysis. I left him a message and I inboxed him. That's how we exchanged numbers. He went to Westchester. I went to Washington, and we were rivals. You know what I'm saying, in basketball. But he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get a transplant soon." He told me. And I was like, really? And I told him how long I had been on dialysis. And he was like, wow, that's crazy. And he was like, bro, he's like, make sure you keep my contact. He said, once I get my transplant, I'm going to put you in line to get your transplant. And he stayed true to those words. He didn't have to look me up or, call me and make sure that I was, going to my doctor's appointments or speaking to this coordinator or none of that. But he did all that like every day. I got a call from him daily.
Wow. So he took it upon himself to kind of coach you and mentor you or give you some accountability.
Yeah. Went to the same place, same doctor, Dr. Veal.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Veal and Chris were pretty good friends, and Chris was telling me about Dr. Veal the whole time, and then he, plugged me with Marcy, Marcy, the coordinator. He plugged me with her. And once he plugged me with both of them, I spoke to both of them and it went fast. It went by fast. And I couldn't believe it. you know. I couldn't believe it. Within, like I said, 3 months, I had that kidney, you know, and I've been dialysis free for 5.5 months now, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, Chris played a big part in me getting a kidney and, you know, me just looking at life different and wanting to live to, you know, be here. You know, I mean, the biggest reason was my kids, you know, my babies. But, you know, Chris definitely was there and helped me a lot.
What did he say to you that really put you back on that, you know, getting a transplant track?
I mean, he said numerous things, you know, just a lot of encouraging words. You know, I would talk to Chris, like I said, at least once or twice a week. If I wouldn't talk to him, he would leave me a message and I would call him back accordingly. But, you know, he always left voice messages. Like I have voice messages of him now on my phone still. You know, when I got the call to get the transplant, he was more excited than I was. Like, I wish I could play. Wow. I wish I could play that voicemail for you. Like, he was so ecstatic. Like, you know, he was like, man, I feel like screaming. I'm so happy for you. Like, you know, he was genuinely just a good person. He looked out for everybody, you know, and he has a brand called Life Altered. You know, that's his brand. And, you know, man, he definitely altered my life for sure. You know what I'm saying? He touched a lot of other people like that too. Like I said, he was an angel. He was an angel, and you know, in my eyes, because he like soon as I got my transplant, you know, he was gone because he passed away from COVID. Like I think I was in the hospital 7 days. I'm gonna say 7 days exactly. And out of those 7 days, he was at my bedside, you know, in my room 5 days out of those 7. So like when I say he was there, you know. But yeah, that was a special dude, you know. I think the last time I spoke to him was like on a Thursday. On a Thursday, he called and told me he had COVID. I think I was already home by that time. He called and told me he had COVID. We joked about it. You know, he was like, "Yeah, Benji, we strong. We strong. Me and you, we strong." You know, and I told him, "Yeah, you gonna make it through that." And he didn't COVID. You know, he didn't have any other shots. He didn't get the booster shot or the other two. So, you know, for him to go out like that, and I remember distinctly telling him not to go. You know, he said, "Okay, I'm not gonna go." He's like, "You right." So whatever happened from then, so when I said it to him, you know, to that time he went, I couldn't tell you. I think he was just trying to, you know, build his brand bigger. He wasn't really thinking with his health mind. You know, he was a very intelligent person, but he was a people person, first and foremost. You know, he was always the life of the party. You know, everybody loved him. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm so sorry that you lost your close friend, and what a blow that must have been to you just after your surgery.
Right.
To lose him. What a loss that is.
Right. It was a huge blow, you know, because we had planned to chill and party and, you know, just do you know, buddy things together, just chill out, maybe shoot some hoop, you know. Yeah. But
both transplanted, so you're kind of freed up, you're set free, right? From
yeah, pretty much, you know, and he, like I said, he looked out for me in that aspect. Like he was on it. Like it's like he almost wanted the kidney more than I did. Like I wanted a kidney bad, so imagine how he was pushing me to get it. Like, you know, he willed me to get it. I wanted to get it, but he helped me so much, you know.
You and he were rivals on the court, right? So he wanted to keep that rivalry going, right, as well as the friendship.
Yeah, he was good people. He was just good people, you know. Yeah. Even though we went to rival schools, he was just good people. Just, you know, he was just. I honestly in high school I would have, you know, hung out with him a little bit more. Like he was just, you know, that good of a friend to me. Like I said, he didn't have to do what he did, you know, and I totally commend him for that. Like,
did he have concerns about vaccination, do you think?
I think he wanted to get vaccinated, but I don't think he had enough information on that, you know, on that subject to get vaccinated, you know, because a lot of people didn't really even believe COVID was real for a long time, you know. They always heard, oh, COVID, you know, and then they would see people say they have COVID and they'll get through it, you know, but what people don't understand, when you're on dialysis or you just got a kidney transplant or any kind of transplant, your immune system is already weaker. Yeah. You know, so for him to be out without a mask and he didn't have any shots, like any COVID shots. It attached to him easy. His immune system was already down.
Even at the stage when you're on dialysis, your immune system is still less, it's suppressed compared to if you're not on dialysis. So you're already a little bit vulnerable to an infection. And then after you've had a transplant, then you've got a different level of vulnerability because you're on the immunosuppressant drugs. So you've got both those stages are both higher risk. I'm just so sorry you lost your good friend. And
I'm still right now, like I'm in disbelief,
Really? Yeah.
Because Chris, if anybody know Chris is like 6'8", like at least 240, 250.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. Like I'm like 6'2" and a half, 6'3", 6'4" on a good day. And he towered over me.
Yeah.
And just the way COVID just went through his body, that's just baffling to me.
Isn't it amazing, because you can be a big guy and you can look almost invincible physically, but then this tiny little virus can just do so much damage.
Man. Yeah, that virus ain't no joke,
It's hard getting over, people you love when you lose people you love.
Yeah, you're right about that. You definitely can't turn back the clock.
If you were to share kind of some of the most important things that you've learned during these years, because ultimately you've had a great outcome, and got with Dr. Veal, you got a great success with your transplant, touch wood, and I'm sure you're doing everything you need to do. What are some of the most important things that you learned during that journey?
I think the most important thing that I learned during this whole journey, these whole 20 years, is never give up on yourself. Because there was a lot of times where I just didn't want to do it no more. I really didn't want to be here no more. Like I'm not going to say I wanted to commit suicide or kill myself or nothing like that, but I was just tired. I was tired of going through the pain. I've been through over 50 surgeries. I got scars everywhere. I beat cancer. I've had my kidneys removed. I've had blood infections. Like I've had, like I said, surgeries of the yin yang. But when I got into that rut and I didn't want to do it no more, I would miss dialysis days and I would feel terrible. But I think the biggest thing that changed my life was giving birth, having my son Bryce. Yeah. That changed me, Really? Having a kid changed me, yeah. He's 7 now.
Oh, great age.
Yeah, he's 7 now. Yep, and I had him when I was 34. I like to think that's my favorite number, like my lucky number, because that was my basketball number also. So 34 was always a special number, and that was when I had my kid. Yeah, so special.
And you yourself, it sounds like you didn't need much persuasion to get vaccination.
Oh no. I mean, because right before the transplant, I went to see the doctors to get evaluated, and I spoke with the physicians. I was like, "Do you think, is it a requirement for me to get the vaccines to get my transplant?" And he said yes. And when he said yes, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So I got all 3 of them plus the boosters, all 3 of them. Yeah.
So with COVID, the challenge we have is how do we get that message over to people who are not in a situation where they're having a lot of discussions with a doctor or with the healthcare team?
Yeah, some people just, like I said, they think COVID is not real. Like even now, the mask protocol is back in effect, and I still see people walking around with no mask. Like I just shake my head. Like I'm like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But to each his own, I guess.
So now you've had your transplant. You feeling good?
Feeling great.
You feeling like 20 years younger?
Yeah, definitely.
Mostly.
No more aching joints.
Yeah.
No more dizziness. I got an appetite. I think I already put on like 20 pounds. So, went from the slim face, with no color to, a round face with color. So it's just that blood circulation.
Right.
There, for real. Yeah. God is good, man.
Fantastic. Really appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a stand-up speaker. You know, I'm not that. I don't like doing it. Like when I was in college, I took classes for it. You know, just in case I made it to the NBA and I had to do it. You know, interviews and stuff like that. But I'm definitely not a speaker. But you know, if this will help, you know, somebody else in some way, you know, get through what they're going through, then so be it.
Absolutely.
So be it.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to sharing your story. And we're going to have Dr. Veal back on the podcast, and we'll probably talk a little bit about you. I hope you don't mind.
That's all good.
And
it's all good. Go for it.
All right, Benji. Well, look, thanks so much for joining us on Kidney Transplant Conversations. It's been a real pleasure to hear your story.
All right.
Thanks for sharing your experiences with everyone.
No problem. Anytime.
All right. Take care now.
All right. You too.
This episode of Kidney Transplant Conversations is dedicated to the memory of Chris Osbourne. We hope you're enjoying listening to the series. Please consider sharing the podcast with others and perhaps leaving us a positive review on whichever platform you listen. We'll be back soon with more Kidney Transplant Conversations. Until then, be safe, be well, and take care. Kidney Transplant Conversations is underwritten by Veloxis Pharmaceuticals, Inc. All views and opinions expressed in the podcast reflect those of the participants and do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Veloxis Pharmaceuticals, Inc. Copyright Project Advocacy 2022.